Linux Out Loud is firing up our mics, spinning up those servos, and connecting those headphones as we prepare to get mechanically rowdy. I'm Wendy, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Nate. We're two friends sitting around a virtual workbench talking Linux, open source, robots, gaming, and everything in between. We keep the banter friendly, the conversation mostly on topic. And we have fun debugging it all. This week, we're spouting off about issues with packages and maybe having evidence before throwing shade. Let's get into episode 117. Long time no see. It's been
about a month.
It's been about a month, since we recorded a show last. And we were going to do one here a few weeks ago, and unfortunately, just before it was time to record, I was hit with a migraine. And the biggest downside of them is I get visual auras, and I literally can't see. So
I understand. So if you have a headache so bad that so for me, sometimes if I have a really, really bad headache, I can't actually see the text. It's kind of spirals and shakes like this.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I see the text, but I can't really lock onto it. So I'm illiterate, and it's not even caused by country music. So I don't even know what's going on. Sometimes I just can't read.
Just sometimes. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I totally get that. And the migraine could sometimes have lasting repercussions in the same lane as I know what I want to say, but can't say it. Or at the same time, the last time I had a very, very serious one, I couldn't even remember my own son's name. So not fun, really not fun stuff. So yeah.
Did you stand and do the cornholio when that happened too? Did you do that?
No. The thing is I know who he is, right? Because I know he's my kid. I know everything about him. But to be able to connect his name to actually being able to say it, it was just gone. It helps if I've got some really good electrolytes. So if I get the sign of an aura and get some electrolytes in almost immediately, for me, it's mostly the sodium. Some people, it's other parts of that, but for me, it's the sodium. If I can get that in right away, it helps prevent a lot of the worst repercussions like that, where I know what I want to say or I can't properly remember things. I can't really hold a very good conversation if that's happened. So it wasn't great to do a show with, is what I'm saying. No migraine shows.
So for what it's worth, just as an aside, I noticed too, if my sodium is too low, I remember growing up saying, "Oh, salt is bad for you." Blah blah blah. I'm well, those people, I think they're wrong. Anyway, so if I don't have enough sodium, I get cramps. It's my arms will cramp up, my legs will cramp up. Everything just gets really bad. The worst, and I haven't had it in a while, since about March, April, because I've been basically I add salt to everything now, through the roof salt. I just add lots of salt, and so now, I used to get abdominal cramps, after working out, so bad. I've actually had to pull over in the car, get out of the car because they were just so bad. It's just
oh man,
they're just. I felt like I've never been stabbed in the abdomen, but I imagine it probably feels like that. But we're just it hurts so bad. But by keeping my sodium levels correct, especially more important in the summertime than the wintertime when you're outside, sweating in the garden or whatever. Or running outside, whatever. So that's been, so sodium has been huge for me as far as keeping up normal. In fact, I would say since cranking up my sodium, I probably feel just as good as I did 15 years ago. So that's I will say that's probably just by doing that. That's one little tweak. We'll add a little sea salt and I'm good to go. But this is not a health show, and you should consult your doctor before you add any salt to your diet. But it works for me. It keeps. I will say it does keep the headaches at bay as well by having adequate. Break in? No, a cat. Cat's breaking in.
Cat was trying to break out. Through the window screen. Yeah. Last time we were together, you were working on a framework project where you were printing a bumper for it. How is that project going?
Well, I want to say it is to the point now where I'm very happy with it, extremely happy with it. And I played it around with different material types. So I'm printing this out of TPU, 95A and 98A. The 98A, I think, has a better like overall structural feel to it, but I like how the 95A feels better. It's a little more springy. But the so it's gonna be probably a little hard to see in here. But what I've done is worked with making this just as such that it just snugly just grabs around the rim of this thing, and then also grabs onto the top lip of this so when you go to open it, which is actually, this is the hardest part of just getting all this right between the geometry and the printing, having a proper print, whatever. So when I go to open it, it doesn't peel up and off. That was the biggest pain. And I find this is TPU 95A. I kind of like it just for the feel of it, but I think the print quality, and it's probably a little bit better in the 98A. It's a little more, it's kind of, I don't have a good picture here, but it's a little more rigid. It's still flexible. It doesn't peel at all. You can do a slightly thinner frame with this. I have some frames headed out to people for testing to give their feedback on it. So, but anyway, lots of little details I put into this just to get the right effect. And there's a lot of testing, a lot of design churn. So 13 different iterations of this to get this to where I was, plus some little tweaks here and there between them.
Right.
And I'm now at a point where I will say there's nothing else out there right now in the market for protecting the framework physically, like the edges of it. So making a shameless plug here, but if you go to cubingandnate.com, you can order one for yourself to make it so it's something that is economically sustainable. I'm pricing them at $15. So if you want to protect your framework, and it just only protects the lid. I don't know how many people out there really want to do that, but I am also working on a lower protection as well now too. So
nice.
This one's geometrically a lot more complicated. I have a lot of the geometry done, but it's just not quite ready yet. There's still some measuring I have to do, and I have to do some test fits. But I'm printing a bunch of these frames, these lid bumpers right now, because I'm deploying them at work at all three plants where I'm the IT manager.
Nice.
To try and give these things a fighting chance. So the lower is going to be a little more complicated because there's obviously a lot more features here on the bottom to avoid as far as covering up. So we don't want to. We make sure you can still open it up so that it vents, and then your speakers, you got to be able to hear the Linux out loud when you're on your computer, so you can't have those covered up. And so that's not terribly complex geometry, but it's got to fit right. It has to fit onto the computer. So still working that out. Some of these angles here are not real straightforward. I think I'm almost there with that. As far as it's essentially it's a sweep that pivots as well. Like it changes angles based on where it's at on the side of it here. So it's just got to make sure I get all that stuff correct. And then now also it's got to be able to hold on to the computer as well. I have a couple of strategies here I'm working on, which one I can actually get to work. This one will have to be printed out of TPU 98A. It's something more rigid. And I believe I can get the interference fit the way I want it to, as well as how to have it hang on. So working on it. It's in its early stages still. The bumper on the top took a lot longer than I anticipated, just based on the different manufacturing challenges and whatnot. So anyway, if you are interested in something like that, you can go to cubingandnate.com, protect your framework. The profit margin is kind of tight on it, actually, when you take into factor the breakdown of the wear and tear on the machine, electricity, everything else. So
cost of TPU, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And then
definitely.
And also there's always mistakes. So I just I left this morning and I had a mistake left on the print. So So
I recently added my Soville SVO8 Ace Plus, or SVO6, sorry, Ace Plus to the OctoEverywhere, which was kind of nice because I was able to leave my printer on. We were at robotics. The kid got the CAD thing done that he needed to do, and I started the print at home from the build room, which was fantastic. The thing is, they didn't warn my oldest daughter, so I knew by that time she was going to be home from class. And I was like, I should probably hey, give her a heads up. And I get a text message from her that's like, is the house haunted or can you start prints from somewhere else? I was like, well,
that house is
yeah,
haunted.
I can start prints from somewhere else.
Oh, I'd have gone with the house is haunted for a while.
I could have that could have been a whole lot of fun, but
sometimes machines get angry when you kids are not behaving, and so it'll just start working when you kids aren't working.
It's getting to work for you. So yeah, that was kind of funny. So I do like that, and it sends me an email when prints finish, and then I can also, because there's a camera on that one, like check on the state of prints, which I had some filament fail catastrophically here recently, as in so it was like seconds, right? So as they were changing out colors, it was kind of like the mix in between. I was like, oh, that'll be fantastic, because then, you know, we're not spending a whole lot of money on it. It's not like these are prototypes, so it doesn't matter what color it is because it's just a prototype. Right. And in the filament, it wasn't all one thickness. There was like chunks of other filament.
Oh,
and this is before I had the this is before I had the OctoEverywhere, and I came home and not only had it like not finished printing properly, but then it was like jammed inside the machine, and I had to spend part of a Saturday, I think, it was a Saturday, no Sunday, taking the extruder apart, getting it all cleaned out, put it back together, and made sure it worked again. So I'm liking this feature for my sanity, for being able to like, hey, peek in it, see how it's doing. If the kids are home, I'll be like, hey, how's my print? And now I don't have to send them messages and ask how the print's doing. I can just look at it myself. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, I could have looked at mine remotely because tail scale and everything else, but I had such a busy day at work today. I just didn't even I didn't have the headspace to even check it. So I didn't even get there. And but the nice thing is the print fails are pretty far and few between on this machine.
Nice.
But when they do fail, I mean, in this case, it wasn't catastrophic fail. It just got jammed up. I think what happened was the filament. Now I left the top open, so it shouldn't get too warm with the filament. So it shouldn't be the heat's escaping out of there.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So there shouldn't be any issues of it getting jammed up, like getting too soft before it hits into the direct drive head. So I don't know what happened. Sometimes it just jams up.
Sometimes it just happens. Yeah,
and that's unfortunate. So that's part of the built-in costs also that I'm when I did all the numbers just so
dealing
I can,
with.
And then I have some other framework-based projects that I'm working on. I don't know. They're still in early stages, so I don't know if I'm ready to talk about them. But there's some really neat stuff happening out there. I have an almost unhealthy obsession, obviously, with OpenSUSE, but I also have an almost unhealthy obsession with the framework. I think it's
I would love to get one for myself because they seem like such a solid system.
They are. So I think there's a lot of really cool opportunity long-term with this machine. And I just want to protect it as much as possible because I'm a digital nomad and I travel with it a lot. If I can give it just a little bit of a fighting chance, that is kind of the idea. And then there's 40 plus machines like this.
I would like something lighter. So I've shown off my mobile workstation before. The thing is heavy. We actually weighed it the other day, and the laptop plus it was just the laptop. It wasn't even including the charger, and it's right around like 9.5 pounds. So yeah, it's a beefy laptop.
Oh, so
I've
never actually weighed the framework. I'm going to find out here. Give me a second.
Oh, yes. I want to know, like, how much does yours weigh?
This is a postal scale I got probably 15 years ago.
What we weighed ours on. So, yeah, or that's what we weighed mine on at the build room.
So it is 3 pounds, 1.5 ounces.
Heck, way lighter than mine.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, my backpack, the weight is so much different with and without my laptop and charger and stuff in it.
Oh, sure.
So it would be nice if I don't need the full power of the GPU in it to have something that I can toss in that's lighter, and I don't at this point in time. So maybe that's the route to go down, is getting a framework and then like upgrading it with the GPU and that stuff as I go, instead of just buying the full built out system, because to put the full system together is just way more than the budget can handle.
So the framework 16, this is a 13 here. The framework 16 is a little bit bigger. So you get the number pad, and that one has the GPU. I will say though, if you get the AMD, the newer Ryzen AI versions, which I'm so tired of hearing AI, by the way. Like
it's everywhere.
Every time I hear AI, I feel like an angel loses its wings, something like that. I don't know. Out there somewhere, a kitten dies every time you say AI. But anyway, that's probably really horrible for me to say.
Ryan's killed a lot of them, huh?
Yeah. Which, by the way, I haven't quite heard the latest Destination Linux yet. And I was the latest, because there's a discussion about, is AI going to destroy the Linux desktop or something like that? Was that what it's called?
I think that's kind of not destroy, but replace, I think is what it got titled.
Something like that.
I've listened to the whole show because I edited it, so I kind of had to. But
so no spoilers. But anyway, go. You can spoil all you want. I'm listen to it anyway. So I honestly, not the subject matter, but I think the AI bubble is going to burst. I really do. I really do. And the reason I say that is, I cannot number crunch and figure out how they're going to pay for these giant black cubes of server farms. Like, how are they going to monetize that unless it becomes super dystopian, which it could happen. But I think that it's not. I think it's going to go the way of some other technologies. And
as far as I know, because I was doing some, like, not necessarily digging on it, but one of the creators that I really like that talks about that and some other things was talking about how there's been some environmental issues with these great big server farms and the way that they're using the water cooling system, which pumps the water out of the ground, but then it pumps it back into the ground on the other side, and causing lots of issues for these different areas where they're putting them with water quality and stuff. So there's definitely some bugs to work out for the ones that they even keep.
I think we'll have some form of these large language models and AI and whatnot, but I don't think it's going to be as profitable as people think it's going to be. And I've heard the idea that basically it's going to make operating systems irrelevant, and maybe, I don't know.
I know they're definitely handy for some things, and I'm definitely someone who does use AI. I
like doing a study on like the grammar and the vocabulary of Latin. It's great for that because it can explain all the different aspects of it, and there's tons of things it can do a great job of explaining and breaking things down. And digesting all this vast amount of technical data and distilling it down to what you need. But like the AI videos, sure, they're cute-ish, the Mr. Rogers, tasing somebody.
My husband has shown me some Mr. Rogers Bob Ross ones that just make me just about die laughing. So it's not always great at comedy, but sometimes, for comedy shorts, that's great. I definitely do like using it for research related things or helping me keep track of different things. Hey, spit out some timelines for this is a deadline. How much time do we got? That kind of stuff is really nice. I've currently been using Perplexity. And one thing that I like about that one is it gives me access to multiple AIs in one, so only one fee for multiple AIs. It's actually been really nice. You can create spaces inside of it, so it's not an open source one, but I have liked it because it has been able to be able to create like project folders inside. So for the robotics team, it's got access to the First Tech Challenge manual. And I was like, hey, go through this and pull out stuff that is required for the engineering portfolio, and using it for some of those data collection things is really awesome. It's a lot of fun. I want to use Hugging Face. I need to figure out like I said, I've tried to like dive into it before and get overwhelmed. So I do want to touch on that. But that's one reason I've liked that one. It gives you access to some multiple paid ones for one price, which has been kind of nice. I don't know. Yeah, we're way off topic, but that's awesome.
I know. Well, just to tie that in to how it helped me with some of this design stuff is, normally it would take me a lot of time to calculate out the different using material properties for what it can do as far as, impact absorption, everything else, and so forth. I can give one of these language models some material information, the thickness of it, the weight of the item being, falling, like the framework laptop, and how much impact absorption that is going to provide. And so things like that, it can help me based on some real rough calculations. And then it can provide the equations it's using as well. And so then I can verify the data based on the equations, and I can verify the equations because there are references out there you can actually look at. And so there's a lot of really good uses, like practical usages for it. It's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit like using the enterprise computer for researching information, because it has access to a lot of stuff and it can distill it down very quickly. So,
Yep.
Also, it helped me to get rid of some of the deflection and whatnot that was happening on the bumper. Is how can I reduce the amount of roll? And so it essentially gave me some tips. Well, if you increase the thickness here, this will reduce the amount of roll because it increases this amount of rigidity in the material and so forth by 10-15%. Just estimates. And so it gave me a lot of these different. So it didn't give me the answer, but it gave me suggestions to find the answer
that you
quicker.
Could then play with and
right. And so it actually reduced my design churn a little bit. I mean, I only have like 30 minutes here, 20 minutes here that I could work on this. So rather than spend the 20 minutes researching all these material properties, it would be able to distill a lot of information down very rapidly. That is an incredible usage of it because it has access to all that information. And I didn't actually know about TPU 98A until when trying to work out the amount of peel and such. Said, are there any materials that might do this better or might reduce that? And so it gave me a list of different materials I could use and the pros and cons of each of them very rapidly, and worked out great. So
Heck
there's just lots of little things. So anyway. So that's been helpful. It's not having access to the same sort of design tools I had at a previous employer for testing these things. And because my resources are limited, it provides additional resources that I would not have otherwise. And I'm only spending basically $8 a month for that and access to other stuff. So it's I don't know if I need
helps as a pretty awesome assistant. Great assistant.
It is. Yep. It is. So speaking of assistants, you have got an update on your robotics team.
Yes.
I don't know how that. I don't know how that segued into assistants, but you're assisting a robotics team, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Doing my best anyway. We're at full roll as far as the robotics season goes. So our first Lego League Challenge team had their qualifier this year, and this is the first year we've had qualifiers in quite a few years. I think my first year in robotics, so this is my 6th year, so it's been 4 years, roughly ish, maybe 3 years since we've had qualifiers specifically for first Lego League. So right now in Idaho, there's like 70 registered teams, and we have a new PDP or project or program delivery partner. And we used to have a Southern Idaho and a Northern Idaho. And if you know anything about the geography of Idaho, most of Northern Idaho has a lot of mountains. It's very rugged. There's a lot of trees. The roads are really windy, and state happens in December.
It looks like a pork chop.
I mean, it kind of does. It kind of does look like a pork chop. But Northern Idaho is very mountainous. And Southern Idaho, yes, we do have our mountains, but there's a lot more like open desert. It's still a lot of lava rock throughout it, but very, very different terrains. And so northern Idaho getting to southern Idaho can be a little bit rough in the wintertime. And so we had a southern Idaho FLL state and a northern Idaho FLL, or First Lego League state. And this year they're combining it to one. The upside of this is the winner of North and the winner of South used to have a virtual head-to-head, and that comes with its own technical difficulties. Last year, we ran into some at ours. And so this way, the nice thing is the overall winner of state is the winner of state. There needs to be no head-to-head. You know exactly who has the ticket. That part's fantastic. But with 70 teams in the state, you can't have that many at one competition. That's just way too many. And so they are running qualifiers this year to have a smaller, more feasible state. Our FLL team competed this last Saturday and they got their ticket. So they are headed to state come the end of January, which we're pretty excited about. They will compete in one more qualifier. Not that they need to worry about getting a ticket this time, but it's just good for them to have that extra practice, run the robot some more, do more with their presentations, and just learn and grow as they're going through the process. Our FTC team, I think last time I was on, I had talked about their Robot in 7 Days project. They have been rebuilding their robot for the season, and we've had some ups and downs. So back to your CAD situation, we've got team members that are just learning CAD and some new ones this year, whereas we've had the conversation of just because something looks good and it all works in CAD does not mean it's going to work in real life. So can you please, don't worry about having the robot completely built in CAD before we start printing it. Let's start printing and testing and iterating, because there's things that look like they fit, but they won't actually fit. And so...
And then there's all kinds of other physics realities that
yes.
don't match. The virtual does not always match the physical, and then it doesn't necessarily always go together, or you can't actually print it that way. Or what if you do print like that, because the orientation is not correct, it splits at that point because the strength in that dimension isn't correct.
Yeah, not strength in the right dimension. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. So
and those you don't find out until later.
Yes. So we had a rough year last year with CAD, and so and parts like failing or breaking because of some of those things that you were saying. So we're like,
and you're using Onshape?
Yes, the team is using Onshape. I have loved Onshape. I know there's some open source versions out there. But the nice thing, one of the reasons why we're using Onshape is kids can get it for free on an education license, and then we can share it as a team. So I'm able to get an educator's license as a robotics mentor. And so then all the team can share files, and it makes it really, really easy for multiple kids to work on the same file. It's really cool. One of the kids on the team and my daughter, I've come out into the living room and they're both working in the same CAD file at the same time. So they're on the phone talking to each other and working on stuff inside the same file. And it's really neat to see them doing that collaboration process. So open source, if you could do that, that would be really cool. But that's what they've been using Onshape for. And so we really, hit home is don't try to make it perfect in CAD. Let's start doing some testing. Let's start doing some printing. 2 weeks ago, roughly ish, we started building the robot they had built in CAD, and we're like, yeah, this isn't going to work. These things won't actually fit. So we need to go back to the drawing board really, really quick and rework this thing. So they're in the process of that. Hopefully, we'll be at robotics tomorrow. We're recording this on a Tuesday. We'll be at robotics tomorrow, hopefully having the robot fully up and running. It doesn't have its color sensors or anything like that on it yet. That'll come because they're competing in another state this weekend. So they've got lots and lots to get done before that, and they will end up getting 3 qualifiers. We'll have 2 in other states besides Idaho, 1 in Idaho, and then, of course, state. So competing at least 4 times this year. It'd be nice to get a scrimmage in there somewhere. Maybe 5 if we hear that we get to go to DC. So we'll find out if we were selected to go to Washington, DC. I think it's the second week of December. So lots going on. That's part of the reason why you haven't been getting as many shows is time-wise, I've just been so incredibly slammed that like Tuesday nights are pretty much my only night to record. And then editing DL, there's like times right now where things were so crazy busy, like last week and this week, I'd usually hand the editing over to Michael for those weeks. And that's not an option right now. So trying to juggle getting everything done or being there for the kids, being able to like not only be at the build run, but be present. Because if I'm there working on projects, if I'm there editing, yeah, I'm physically there so the kids can be there, but I'm not actively helping them as far as like, yeah, that's what's going on or seeing what's happening, being able to bounce stuff off of them. So I would like to get the show more regular for you guys again. That's the goal. I really don't have a free weekend until January. So that makes it a little a little rough, but I will do my best to try to get this show more consistent for you. I know it's been all over the place for pretty much all of this year. Yeah, it's been very inconsistent for all the year. Yeah, it's definitely been life for sure. So that's the goal. Eventually consistency.
Life can kind of throw some curveballs, and there hasn't been a Linux Saloon for the last couple of weeks as a consequence of curveballs in my life too. So it just happens to happen that I had Tuesday this week where I could carve out some time and I
jump in. Yeah,
it's the way it goes.
Yeah, well, I know life's been crazy for Matt, right? Because I talked to him, hey, we need to get a show done. He's like, I've got Thursday. And I was like, Thursday's not even a possibility until maybe springtime. So, yeah, we'll figure that out. We need to get Matt back on the show, getting the show consistency. Just know life's been crazy. When we were off, I had planned to do a video on the Synology router because that was something that was brought up on one of the DLs that I was on. I even have like my script ready to go, like the points laid out that I want to hit, and that it still hasn't happened yet because every time I sit down to do it, there's another thing to take care of, stuff to do, things to deal with, prints to start for kids and all that good stuff. So it is coming, I promise. Life is just life, and crazy is just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But I think a lot of things, at least for me, a lot of the content creators out there have, I would say in the last year, 18 months-ish, I've noticed there's been some inconsistencies either due to dealing with disasters or family issues or health issues.
Right.
And my attitude is, I'm there for whoever it is. I'll wait. And in fact, one of my favorite podcasts, Linux User Space, they took a hiatus for a while because they had some family issues, and so not too dissimilar from what I'm going through. And so, but I was there for them when they came back. I was happy that they're back. So, is that how people are going to be for Linux Out Loud? I don't know. Probably
Hope
not.
So.
Oh, okay. Hope so. But what can you do? I mean. What can you do?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of absolutely crazy, you have brought a very interesting topic to the show this week. Why don't you dive into that, and where did you even hear about this? I didn't even know it was a thing until I saw it in the show notes.
Okay, so this actually was Matt who first brought this up to me a while ago, and I'm bearing the lead. It's called Winboat. If you haven't heard about Winboat, what it is, I'll explain this because I have been using it. I really like it. I would say it's based on what we're going to get into. Running a Winboat on OpenSUSE Tumbleweed with default setup is a lot safer than running it on an Ubuntu, just because of the firewall rules that are initiated by default in OpenSUSE. Everything's locked down, so that's number one. So what Winboat is it's a way you can run essentially Windows, a reduced Windows set, Windows 10 or 11, whatever you want. I'm doing Windows 11 basically in a KVM embedded inside of a Docker image essentially as a Docker. And then what it has is, as part of that Docker, it has free RDP to be able to access the Windows applications. So the idea is you're using it for essentially just one application. That's it. So for me, there's a few Windows applications that I need to use for work. There's one in particular. It's for what controls our NVR system. I've tried to get it to run in Linux directly with crossover, with Wine, with bottles, with Lutris even, and it sails as well as a lead balloon through the sky. So it doesn't. Anyway, this will work. Now, it's not bug-free. It's still a beta, and there's still a lot of things that we worked on. I participated ever so slightly in the GitHub with a problem that I had with it, which was the files integration with the local file system didn't work. So if I want to install something off of my downloads, I couldn't do that. And that was kind of important to me. So anyway, got that fixed, contributed my very tiny little bit about whether or not the fix actually worked for me. And it did. And so it's very handy. So what happens is you install Winboat, it goes whatever. You can do an RPM or an app image. I'm using the app image just because that's kind of what they advertise in the front of it. And it installs all the components you need. So if you already have KVM installed and Docker installed, it works great. It's got to be on the rootful Docker. It can't be on the rootless Docker because the way it's able to better utilize system resources when it's rootful with the KVM, you kind of need that. It doesn't work with Podman. You have to use Docker. So that's the one downside with it. I think that it's still a work in progress. Some people game with it. Like you can, the performance is near native performance, so there's almost no performance penalty. So if you have a Windows game you want to play with it, this is actually why Matt brought it to me. And I'm like, man, I don't care about any of the Windows games. However, maybe I do. Fortnite, anybody?
Right, because I mean, I don't
play Fortnite.
Well, and Fortnite's not one that we play, but I recently got one of the really old Battlefield games that Magneto used to play, like when we first got together, running in Heroic. So he was pretty stoked about that this weekend.
That is pretty cool. That's very cool. How old? What? When did that
Battlefield Vietnam?
Okay, what year did that come out? I know Vietnam happened, but not.
That one was, I think, 2003 or 2004. So somewhere in there. Like you can, the graphics still look fairly nice, even running on the 4K screen. But you can tell like it's not modern, but the gameplay was still working fantastic. Like it was running in Heroic beautifully, like absolutely awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah, I find that the games from about PlayStation 2 onward, like I know the graphics are better now, but like I don't really care.
Right, and it was a game that he like really enjoyed, right? Like he enjoyed that game, and he doesn't want anything to do with the more recent ones because he's not a multiplayer person, right? Mm-hmm. And so he likes some of those the story elements games, or whatever. Right? Some of the story elements and gameplay and that kind of thing, but without the multiplayer part of it. And so that was one of the reasons why he was kind of having this nostalgia moment, and I was able to find it and get it running for him. So having Magneto here, but this will run other things, which is fantastic because there are some other applications that I would like to run on systems, and I've struggled with getting them to run in bottles or some of those other things. So it's really cool that there's another project out there that can do that. Now, it does awesome things, but there's some not so awesome stuff around it.
Yes. So one of the problems with Winboat is by default, Docker's listening on all ports. And so just to boil this down to brass tacks, right to cut to the chase, right. The person who was running this on a Linux machine got infected with ransomware because it had access to his host file system. It affected his host files, and so he messed up his system because of indirectly running Winboat. A couple of things that I think are at fault here. One, he was running it. The default Docker listening is on all ports. So essentially, there was no firewall protecting it because there's only protecting it unless he was behind a home firewall or whatever. But the other issue too is because by default, like Ubuntu doesn't have a firewall activated by default, which I guess you don't really need to technically with Linux. Technically, always sort of you really should, but
unless you're especially running Docker on all ports open,
right,
all ports listening.
And so it's a comedy of errors essentially. And then obviously he had it set up so it was just running all the time in the background. So you basically have an unprotected Windows installation that is stripped down, running in the background, listening on all ports. So he accessed something, obviously with it, and got infected, and bada bing, bada boom, he got infected with ransomware. The blame was placed toward the FreeRDP PPA, which caused a bunch of drama, but that wasn't the issue. And so they talked about this on Linux User Space, and I saw it somewhere else. Another article on serverhost.com. So it was, the ransomware was a scary thing, not a big deal, but it had me kind of thinking. So, and I'm not like trying to poo-poo on Ubuntu and so forth, but it does seem like when Linux distributions do not have a firewall by default, obviously firewalls make things less friendly because things are blocked. It doesn't automatically see your printer or your this or that or the other thing. And so essentially your Linux distribution, your computer is more promiscuous, but because it's a little more impervious, you don't have that as an issue. So that's, once you introduce a Windows system that has full access to your file system, you add that other layer component. Now, mind you, the WinBoat is in beta, and so this is just kind of some, using free software, your mileage may vary, and it was a mistake. So I'm actually of the opinion, I think Linux shouldn't be friendly. I know this is probably not the right stance to have, but, if you're using heavy machinery, it's not meant to be easy for anybody to use. You got to be trained before you get into that excavator, the bulldozer, skid steer, whatever. You have to understand the consequences of driving and operating this machine, because, if you kind of just sort of bump into something, it's not an oopsie, it's a, oh my goodness, depending on how hard you bump into it. So I think computers are actually too friendly in that regard. I don't think it should be unintuitive, but I think that you should be more cognizant of what you're doing. And I'm not blaming anybody here and any of that stuff, but I do think that the idea of always trying to make things easy to use is not always the best course of action.
Sometimes making it easy to use for the user makes it easy to use for the bad guys too, and being able to add the ransomware and that kind of stuff, going on in the background.
So anyway, so it was just very interesting. I only keyed in on this because of how useful WinBoat is for me. I don't leave it running on my system. I only activate it when I want to check, when I need access to the NVR at work. And also I have it on a filtered, because I can't speak for Ubuntu if they do this, but on OpenSUSE, I'm sure it's all the same in all the Linux. It creates a kind of a virtual network adapter, essentially a Docker 0 on mine. Okay. And then I can apply a specific firewall rule to Docker 0. And I basically have just my regular firewall rules applied to that, which is pretty restrictive.
Yeah.
So, also I don't, I'm not turning this thing on anywhere. Anyway, that said, you can have different firewall rules depending on where you are. And I think it's best to have specific firewall rules for if you're in public or if you're on your home internet or, at work or whatever. You should have different rule sets for it. And I think people are probably kind of lazy about that. And they should just be aware of what they're doing. But so anyway, all that said, I think that's kind of how that boiled down. So anyway, I do agree. I do think even after all this, be aware of what you got going on with your computer. Make sure you are running around with some sort of, armor on your system, some layer of protection to keep the bad internet away from you. And I think you should try out WinBoat if you have a need for running Windows software on your Linux system, because it's a great way to integrate a Windows application on your computer. And also it's really fun. Like I have wobbly windows on my Plasma desktop. So having file like the Windows File Explorer, because that actually does work, and then be able to wobbly window it around or whatever is kind of funny.
A little nostalgia too,
it's,
huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's just fun. And yeah. So
the thing on this story that I actually found most interesting, and I actually found it a little disturbing, is the fact that this user ran into an issue where there was ransomware. They blamed a specific piece of software, and I'm glad that Ubuntu took this all seriously, but a user got banned. Not a developer, but a maintainer of software got banned like really, really fast. And there was no proof that it was this piece of software. So yay, like if there are threats, I do want us to act on them as a community. But at the same time, we need to have proof as to like what we're going after. And I'm not saying it at any time as like, hey, we've got this thing, maybe let's shut it down, and then like look through the software at that point and see if there's anything going on, and then try to find the actual culprit. So you're saying in this part you think it's because he had all the ports open.
Yep.
But it is a bit scary for someone to be like, oop, I got ransomware and it's this person's fault, it's this package's fault, without any proof that it was their fault, and that person gets banned from then being able to maintain software. So I want us to be careful as a community to not overstep. Yeah, take threats seriously, but don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, I think that's, you drew the wrong conclusions without any evidence. I mean, I can understand why. I mean, the original Reddit post was deleted, by the top of it was deleted, and I think it was done so because it was a false accusation. And they have a lot of,
right.
If you read through the thread, it says, it was not this, there's no proof of that. And so, no, the correct information is now out there. But it's really kind of funny. Depending on, it seems like news cycles anywhere, an accusation is made, everyone jumps on that accusation being true, and then you have some outlets reporting whatever accusation. Reddit, in this case, Reddit. Reddit does what Reddit does,
right?
Which is sometimes remarkable.
Yeah. Reddit's a bit of a dumpster fire, to say the least.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's like basically Reddit should be renamed to ruckusbucket.com, I think.
There you go.
It's just a ruckus bucket. But there's some good things in Reddit too. There's a lot of there's some neat Lego groups on Reddit. I know, whatever.
Yeah,
anyway, the point is after investigation was actually done, you find out it was really ultimately a misuse of the tool. Not really. I'm not like incredibly faulting the person because they didn't know, but it all kind of layers down into maybe some
this perfect storm kind of thing.
Yeah. And so it's just something to kind of be concerned of. I kind of feel like I should probably write about this on my cubiclenate.com, just based on better practices. Although I don't even know that I'm doing it all that correctly anyway. So there could be there's some room for argument there. Which, by the way, don't run Winboat and try to video editing at the same time. Not a good idea. Because yes,
systems crash. Yeah.
No, it wasn't crashing. When you have a lot of files open, like video editors take up a lot of RAM, and then if you're gonna have Windows running in the background too, that takes up a lot of RAM, and so Kden Live will tell you, hey, by the way, you're running low on RAM. So,
I haven't had that issue since I bumped this system up to 80 gigs. Yeah, I think 80 gigs is what I've got in this system. RAM? Because when I had 32, I was about to hit that wall, especially when stuff was rendering, and there's nothing like sitting there in panic, chewing on your fingernails, watching your RAM be like, please, 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 please render, please render, please render.
Right. Yeah, I have 64 gig in my framework, and that's the first time I bumped up to that limit when you run, anyway. So
when you got all that stuff going, yeah,
you got it. Multitasking isn't always the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the other thing too is, with everything in open source software, things happen. Don't let emotion take control. Make sure you have backups, because
100%.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. Like I was very optimistic, in the 2000s internet technology, and now I had this inkling in 2007. Actually, it was when I was thinking to myself, "Well, I think these things could really go sour here with the way the internet and technology is going."
Yeah,
and you know what? It has.
It has. It definitely has.
A lot of things have gone sour. So there's just some good havens out there of happiness, but I don't know. Maybe computers and technology is just slightly too easy to use. I think that might be the problem.
Be careful, folks. Yeah.
Melting people's
definitely.
brains.
Be careful, folks, for sure.
No. Anyway. Yeah. That's what I got on that. And more proof that the internet's a scary place. Cloudflare, AWS, both down, causing all kinds of disruptions. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So my kids do some schoolwork through an online charter school, and their back end was AWS when all of that went down, and so you couldn't access any of that, which is absolutely like. Why?
Yes.
Why? I know this was a big topic on DL the one time, the fact that everything was on the East. I think they had Brandon on. It was the show that they had Brandon on from Sudo Show. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was talking about for some reason, like everything was on East. Maybe it's the default or whatever, but that even affected us all the way out here in the West because of that. And I remember that day we went into a little local store and their card system was down, and I didn't even realize that that's what was going on because we're out here in the West, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I didn't even know that AWS was down that day at that point. But yeah, they couldn't. Thankfully, I had cash on. I almost never keep cash right now, and I really should. But thankfully, I had cash on me. But everybody else behind me who needed to run a debit card or a credit card or anything like that, like you were out of luck.
Chink chink thing anymore.
Right, yeah.
There are no raised bits on modern credit cards. It's all flat.
Yep. It's all flat. There's no bumpy numbers now. Yep.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah, crazy times when it comes to.
But then Cloudflare today was down, so it took out a bunch of to include the DNS routing for their websites for my company, because I just moved our DNS records to Cloudflare recently.
Of course.
Because it does provide a lot of great denial of service attack prevention. And basically Cloudflare, it looks like it was a distributed denial of service. I think I could be wrong on that. That was my understanding with what I read and what I was listening to today from some news sources. And so it is almost as though, we don't know any information on who is to blame or who's the actor on this at this point. Yeah. But it doesn't appear like somebody spilled their coffee on the server is not what happened. They were too tired. It's something else. And, this all kind of leads me back to the idea of it's good to have some self-hosting that you can do, because sometimes the internet goes down. I think the internet's a lot more fragile than we realize. And
it is. For sure, it's definitely a lot more fragile than we realize. It really doesn't take much, especially in the key central areas where a lot of things is hosted, for one thing to go bad, and then you don't have access to stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're reliant on a lot of really large centralized providers. It's not as distributed as it was meant to be,
as it should be.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So 100%.
So it'll be interesting to see how things go. I mean, it's always. With all industries, it does seem like, you have lots of little things and they kind of buy up and you get down to a few until something else happens. Then you have fragmentation until it kind of merges together.
Then you'll come back together and then something bad happens and then everything gets split up. Yeah, this kind of repeating cycle.
It is. And I don't know what the solution for any of this is, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You are still struggling with your... Yeah, you're still struggling with your Christmas lights. So how are you supposed to figure out the internet issue?
This is true. Now, I would say it's a different kind of struggle. I've been doing Christmas lights on my on my house now for longer than Linux Out Loud's been, I think, since 2018 or 19, I think. 19 is when I think it's something like that. 2019, Christmas of 2019 is when I did the programmed lights, the sequences and everything else. And I think last year I didn't do any sequences because I had real busy end of the year, and then I got like a really bad like head cold, and I think I even canceled on Linux Out Loud around that time because I had the migraine and the spinning words and just couldn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that whole. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it happens, and it's hard. So this year I've already a lot of the lights are out, but I don't do Christmassy really themed until after Thanksgiving because I think Thanksgiving needs their own fair shake.
I agree.
My opinion. Although I do listen to Christmas music now, and there's a local Christmas station that I've been listening to. It's been making me very happy. But anyway, that aside, I've started adding some stuff, and I'm getting some of the lights are flickering. So I've found like ones that are problematic. So I've soldered the new ones in place because it's a solder job. It's not you can't remove the bulb and put a new one in. It's all waterproof stuff.
Right.
So I've also been with the help of actually my brother and his wife, they've been helping me put together some other props. So I've got some other props I'm putting up. I got a large wreath with 600 lights in it. And then I have some, they're called chroma canes, but they're like candy canes, chroma canes. And I got 10 of these, and each of those have 99 lights in them. And they stand up about 3 feet tall-ish or so. And so those are pretty exciting. I got these 2-foot chroma flakes, like snowflakes, but they're chroma flakes, and each of them have 48 lights in there. And by the way, I did get myself a pretty nasty blister on my thumb putting these things together. So that's another 192 lights there. And then I have these shorter trees, like Christmas-looking trees with like stars on it. Those aren't done yet. Well, neither of them are done. One of them is mostly done, but I got it's an odd number of lights, so it's not a straight 100 lights in there. So there are 100 plus lights each. Just I don't know the exact plus point on there, and they're a little bit more pain in the butt to assemble because I have to either solder or splice in some lines to go between the strands. So those two are a little more work than I anticipated. And then I'm updating my big chroma tree, my big pixel tree, and I'm adding some more lights to that, as well as instead of being flat, I'm making it circular. So I'm doing some 3D printed designs so I can have all these things work properly together and so forth as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's going to work out. Or I could be wrong. It might be a terrible mess, but either way, I'm going to be getting the rest of the parts to build those trees this weekend. Tomorrow I'm going to get the parts so I can build and then I got to finish soldering the trees together. I think one of them I can get done tonight, maybe another one tomorrow. Then hopefully by the weekend I can start putting the things up. So yeah, I'm pretty excited, but I'm having some weird flickering. I tried, I think it's maybe like some voltage dips, but the power supply looks good. And I turned up the voltage a little bit to kind of reduce some of the flickering. And maybe I might just deal with it. And then maybe the controller, because it's pretty old now, maybe the controller is getting a little flaky. I don't know. It might be time to upgrade the controller on that as well. So that might end up happening. But anyway, so that I'm working on that. I'm excited. The song I'm going to work on for this year is from the Santa Claus 3. I wanted to do it last year, but I didn't, obviously. It's like Ali and AJ, I think it is, The Greatest Time of Year. It's a real fun, very bro rockish from the early 2000s kind of sound to it. Really like it. It's got the crunchy guitar. It's very much early 2000s in how it sounds. So anyway,
nice.
And it makes me happy. It's, from the time before the dystopian things happened. So that's kind of the era that I'm gonna latch onto until, like a dog on a bone. I'm just gonna hang on to that thing and until I die.
I think this year, once you do have all of this set up, we really do need to call you Clark.
Yep, he's my spirit animal. I did already add some lights into like my front room where the kids do their school. It's kind of their school room, basically, our homeschool room. I did add I went to Menards. I don't know what a Menards is, but it's kind of a Midwest thing. Yeah, we don't have one around here. Yeah, it's a Midwest thing. They're out of Wisconsin, but they have Menards here. And so there's Menards I go to, and they have their Christmas lights are great and they're inexpensive. They got these more vintage looking lights. So I got a bunch of these vintage lights. I've already wrapped 6 of my trees that are like kind of in my middle yard. I don't know what to call it. It's not a side yard, but between my 2 driveways, I have one that goes to Cubicle Labs and one that goes to my house. There's like 6 really big trees. I've wrapped all those and I really like it. It's all tied in with Home Assistant, so it turns on and off with that. I'm still investigating if I can have the Falcon player. I know it can do MQTT communication. So if I can get this to work properly, then in theory, I should be able to have lights in the house respond to the musical sequences as well. I'm not going to do that because it'd probably drive my kids nuts if I start having the lights in the house do that. But I'm saying
it would definitely trigger a migraine for me if the lights in the house started flashing on and off with music. But it's kind of funny.
So what I do is I have like those lights are on controlled by Home Assistant where I put some timers on it. So I have like lights on my banister, the Christmas lights that automatically come on at a certain time, then shut off, then come back on in the morning. So it's kind of nice in that regard. But unfortunately, I have the same rule applied to just basically that's one of my Christmas light cords. So that's what's running the ones in the homeschool room now, and they homeschool where they do school work at home room. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. It's in the front. Anyway, so that does come on in the morning and just turn off at night as well automatically. But it's not quite the effect I want. But anyway, it's fine for now. So I got to swap it with a different little controller at some point. But anyway, and then this is totally an aside. I'll talk about it another time. But I found these really awesome, like off the shelf Tasmota controllable devices. So they work with Home Assistant. I don't have to actually I don't have to reprogram them. They come just as these are. I'll have details on that next time. But
yes, I'm definitely curious because you and Bill both talk about these really cool Home Assistant projects, so it's getting me all excited about like doing something at home. But yeah, I haven't yet.
So this would be a great way to this would be like a great
entry level
gateway drug for Home Assistant. So you get a couple of these little controllers. They're not expensive. They run Tasmota already, so it's already an open source. Doesn't phone home. You can actually trust these devices. There's an ESP-based module. You literally just plug it in, and then you just connect to it with like a device, and then you put it on your Wi-Fi. So for me, I put a little Wi-Fi dongle on my laptop, and I use the secondary dongle to connect to it. And then I configure that, and I can immediately jump to, whatever. But then in my firewall, I set the rules for where they're assigned, what IP addresses. So anyway, works great. I'm a lot more impressed with these than I thought I would be. They're small, they're compact. In fact, I'm probably going to buy a bunch of them because I can much easier to use those than to do the way I was going to automate some things. Just throw these on and I'm good to go because they're just little pucks, like tiny. They're not big at all.
Oh, heck yeah.
They're just I don't have anything. I don't have them here, but they're small. About, maybe you could almost put 2 of them on one outlet, one socket. Yeah. That's how small they are. And so they're great. Absolutely great.
Sweet.
Yeah. But next time.
Okay. I need you to drop them into the show notes so I can look them up and maybe have a few next time we do a show.
I don't want to navigate to where I got them because it'll create a blinding light in my face. But after the show, we'll do that.
I will definitely hold you to that.
All right. So holding me to something, what's going on with your Synology? Terrible segue. But I'm good at these
you are
segues.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome at these. The Synology that used to be sitting over here, there we go, I'm pointing in the right direction, is obviously not there right now. And as I had mentioned before, it was starting to have issues. And it's another reason I haven't quite got the Synology bit done yet. So we did have it set up so it could take in my 2 internet sources, Starlink, and then my T-Mobile business. And it was supposed to, when one is removed, to just balance things back out. And the last few times that I had removed the T-Mobile, because I do take the T-Mobile router with me when I go to robotics, so I can do show editing there, actually the latest show of DL 443 got finished at robotics this Monday. I know I'm the reason it got out late because of robotics. And I was actually uploading it to YouTube while there. And the only reason I could do that is because I was able to take the T-Mobile business router with me. Otherwise, the Wi-Fi there is so bad that you literally can't. I would be there all night if I tried to decide to upload a show from there. So that was a problem, right? I couldn't disconnect the T-Mobile and then have the Synology go into a panic, because then it's like I don't have any internet, even though Starlink was still connected to it. So I was having to reboot the router in order for the Synology to be happy. Once again, I was like, okay, it's finally time that I go ahead, bite the bullet, and get another router. And Bill, time and time again, that was like, go with Ubiquiti. And he had recommended the Dream router. So that's what I got. That's what you see over here. Is the Dream Router 7. I don't like all of these white devices sitting here. I would prefer that they were black and they blended in with the background. That part's really annoying. So I'd like a different place for them all to go, because I have this pretty dark colored desk. All of my monitors have a dark theme on them. And then I've got these glaring things here in the background. Not that they look bad, especially the Dream Router doesn't look bad. It's kind of cool. It has... you can see the speeds that it's running directly on it, your upload and download speeds, and it gives you this little graph, which is a ton of fun. Does it have
RGB vomit? Is that an option?
Well, I mean, there's just the blue on it. I don't think you can change the color, and it does go into nighttime mode starting at 8 o'clock. The light goes off, and then comes back on at 6. Yeah, I think 8 or 9 handy. Is. Yes,
so it's actually light pollution conscientious.
Well, yeah, so it originally, out of the box was set to 10, and I bumped up that time, right, where I wanted lights to go off. So you can adjust that in the back end. I do have to say that the Synology router is much easier to navigate, right? It's much more user-friendly and to navigate, and I had to dig for quite a while in order to find the setting to change the time on that. So I'm still learning the back end of that. I might give Bill a little jingle and be like, hey, I got this. Is there any good places to help kind of give me a walk through all the stuff? It automatically recognizes both. One of the coolest things about this router that I love is it has 4 Ethernet ports in the back, and then SPF plus. No, that's not it. I said it wrong, but a different connector in the back, and I can't remember what that connector type in the back is called. But I did have to get an adapter so I could use that 10 gig port in the bottom. Not that my internet is doing 10 gig, but all those Ethernet ports, you can set them to be WAN ports, every single one of them. So if you had more than 2, which I've only got 2 coming in, but if you had more than 2, you could have 3, 4, 5 different ISPs coming in at the same time, in which you're load balancing them all. This really is super cool. It's meant to do large networking. That's, that is what Ubiquiti is known for businesses stuff. And so this is more of their home version. The Dream 7 is the one that you can use for if you have Ubiquiti cameras or that kind of thing. It works with those as well. Not that I plan to get any of those. If I'm doing any of that, I would prefer that it was on the Home Assistant side of things. So it might be a little bit more powerful than I needed in that one. They've got a cute little one that looks like a Roku box. If you've ever seen the little square Roku boxes, it looks more like that, except for it's white. Also pretty neat, but it's working fantastic. Internet's been great. Speed tests on it have been awesome. It's been stable. It keeps telling me that my T-Mobile internet isn't very stable, that it keeps going offline. Of course it keeps going offline because I keep unplugging it.
Well, it's nice, it lets you know.
Right, yes, but it does tell you that. I can go in, I can look at it. The graph that it shows me, it actually gives me a warning if pings are low. So my Starlink has been absolutely fantastic in ping, and the T-Mobile has been a little bit higher, closer to 45 to 50 milliseconds. And so that's got a yellow bar. It's like, hey, a little bit higher ping times on this one. So it gives you so much more information in the back end on what's going on with the network, which is really super cool. Once I get that a little bit more figured out, I might do how I'm navigating the network on that as well. So the Synology router is currently at the build room. It hadn't completely died, and I needed something there anyway, because the team was also struggling with the fact that the internet there was so poor. So you can label these things, you can give them names, because you can have multiple devices in your Synology, or not Synology, but Ubiquiti backend. And so I named this the name frame, and my Wi-Fi SSID is called Agent Smith.
Nice.
And then I named the Wi-Fi at the build room the bot cave, because like, why not?
Right. Yep.
Play on multiple things.
That's beautiful. See, it's things like that. It's like your flavor of nerdism is
right,
is glorious.
It's coming out. Yeah. So it's kind of funny when somebody, like, when I originally got the system set up and they're like, okay, where do I connect? I'm like, go to the bot cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To the bot cave,
Uh-huh. Exactly. I know you want to say it exactly like that. Yep. So it's a lot of fun. The team now has better Wi-Fi, because the T-Mobile router, it has, because I can't turn off all of the Wi-Fi on it. So what it's broadcasting as far as an SSID is a silent one, a private one. I can't remember what the term is for it off the top of my head right now. And I don't want everybody connecting to that one. So being able to have the Synology router there, which I'm there, I plug in the T-Mobile router to it. It broadcasts the bot cave signal to everybody. And they get to enjoy much faster, speedy Wi-Fi. I can do whatever I need to while there, whether it's network stuff, robotic stuff, all of that good stuff. And then it comes home with me, and no longer having those issues. So I'm sorry I haven't got the Synology stuff out to you. I do plan to. It is still a very, very solid router. But I've had my own network stuff going on as well.
Totally understandable. These things kind of sort of happen.
These things kind of sort of happen. I promise it will, though.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. No, I think it's hilarious, by the way, that you're
Thank you.
Naming things. It's way more creative than mine. Mine all like Star Trek based. So like my SSID includes LCARs for oh, you're a cat. For
yes, I'm gonna let her out. Okay.
So LCARS means Library Computer Access and Retrieval System. It's just silly, nonsensical stuff. But anyway,
all good stuff. I'm not much of a Star Trek fan. I've had some other like interesting ones around here where I've called it no internet access before, which was fun. The last one I had on the Synology router was called free virus download.
No.
I have fun. I have fun with it. I actually got a Starlink Mini just recently that we will be used when we're going up to the mountains and stuff this summer. Mm-hmm. And I've been playing with different names for it. And I figure it's got to have some sort of like Yogi Bear theme is kind of what I've been thinking. I don't know exactly what that is, but you have
to do some sort of
stuff.
More esoteric character. You can't just say Yogi Bear or Boo Boo. It's got to be something.
It's got to be something fun. So I'm thinking about it. We'll get there. It could even be something with the Smurfs, SmurfNet. Not sure, but I'll play with it. Once I have something like locked in, I will share with you the fun name that comes with it. I enjoy having a lot of fun with my Wi-Fi SSIDs. So
well, that's fun. I like it. You gotta have fun with that.
Gotta have fun with that.
Yeah.
So now it's your turn to toss in your 2 cents on today's topic and help us drive this robot forward. Hit the discourse form, drop us a line under this video, or contact us by visiting tuxdigital.com/contact. If you'd like to hang out with us on our preferred social media, see the links in the bottom of the show description. Find other great shows like Sudo Show, Destination Linux, Linux Saloon, It Will Be Back, and more, at tuxdigital.com. Show off your love for your favorite podcasts and shows by visiting the Tux Digital merch store. Grab yourself some awesome swag like the Gamer-centric I paused my game to be here. We'll see if Matt ever pauses his game again and shows up. Or join hashtag Team Wendy with some sinister Wendy swag. Perfect for late night robot tinkering sessions. As always, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time with another awesome episode of Linux Out Loud. Until then, keep the banter friendly, the conversation at least somewhat on topic, and have fun building it.
Limit your bunny trails or rabbit holes or bunny holes. What is it called? I
don't know. Going down. I think it's going down the rabbit hole. I think it has something to do with Alice in Wonderland, right? And
it does.
Don't think we
Following the white rabbit, something like that.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, we did a lot about. Oh, and that goes back to the Matrix. Follow the white rabbit.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
And we did multiple times tonight.
Absolutely.